Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. As you can see, here in the Mile High City, it is gray, it is overcast, it is Halloween, and so to you I say, happy Halloween. It is 42 degrees out there, but that's neither here nor there, because today we're talking about records, of course, on Record-ology here. So, what are records made out of? Incorrect! Well, they're made of vinyl and they're made of shellac, but they're also made of durium, which you may or may not be aware of. And why are they brown in the thumbnail? What is this? What is going on? What are durium records? Well, they're 90 years old and they're very interesting. They've got a cool history. I'm going to tell you all about it. And we're going to listen to them, including a pretty cool and somewhat rare advertising piece, again, that you already saw in the thumbnail. You're not going to want to miss this. Welcome to Record-ology! Okay guys, so when you think of the word durium, you may think of a fictitious alloy on Star Trek, but I assure you it is a real substance. They are most notably found in these Hit of the Week records, and they're not too expensive. So if you want to add something interesting and spicy to your collection, a Hit of the Week Durium record may be the way to go about it. So a couple of interesting facts. The material durium was created in 1929. It is a synthetic resin, an actual synthetic plastic from the 20s, which is pretty amazing in and of itself. It is a formaldehyde-based substance. It's clear, odorless, tasteless, but it's extremely fire and waterproof and heat resistant, which is pretty interesting. In fact, it was used in some aeronautic endeavors. So it's pretty much records and aeronautics that it was used in because of the heat temperature. It's heat sensitive, or heat, I should say, resistant up to 446 degrees Fahrenheit, which is really interesting. And forget about what I said about being spicy. It's actually odorless, tasteless, and it is flexible, which is a good thing when you have a record like this. And I'll show you why in a minute. So Durium Products Incorporated, didn't take long for a company to form to make something out of this material, decided, hey, you know what, we can make records. We'll compete with shellac, which is sort of the dominant material of the day. These are like 1930 to 32 is when these were on the market. And these Hit of the Week records were made to be sold at newsstands for 15 cents a piece. You would just go to the newsstand and pick up the Hit of the Week record. And we're going to listen to this, and I've got a very special one I want to show you after this. But what's really interesting is these were made, this is actually a record label. Hit of the Week was not just the record itself, but it was the label. And that label hires special musicians. In fact, you'll see down here, this is featuring the Hit of the Week Orchestra. Some up-and-coming talent, definitely recorded on this label. Some before and some after their fame came to fruition. Sometimes under a pseudonym. Duke Ellington is among those that were on this label. But it's kind of an interesting thing. It was by far the cheapest record money could buy at the time. And every week from 1930 to 1932, go to your newsstand, and there's a lost art right there, newsstands. And you could buy this record. And they came in very, very cheap rice paper sleeves. In fact, almost none of those exist. If you find one with an actual rice paper sleeve, which featured oftentimes black and white artwork, it was a rarity. So let's take a look at this. These are 10-inch records, and the actual material is clear, or clear-ish. It's probably kind of yellowed, but they are placed on top of a substrate. In this case, it's a cardboard paper. This type of cardboard reminds me of like file folders. I'm a child of the 80s and 90s. But I remember sort of like drawstring file folders with sort of like accordion sides made of a very similar type of cardboard paper. And as you can see on here, there's this striping effect, which is pretty common. So yeah, interesting stuff. Chipped up, it's very brittle. These were never designed. This is 90 years old. Never designed. This was a throwaway record even at the time, let alone 90 years. And we're going to be able to play this and hear audio off of this. Take a minute and think about how awesome that is, that we can actually hear sound off of this 90-year-old paper record. Now, the idea of taking a substrate material like a paper or cardboard and using a plastic film over the top to have sound in a cheap way is not new. I shouldn't say new. It was very new at the time, but it's not one that faded away with this technology. If you're thinking what I'm thinking, cardboard, cereal box records, same exact principle. This, although it looks just like a picture, if I turn it at the right angle, there you go. You can see some modulation down there. This is indeed a record, 33 RPM record on a piece of cardstock or paper. Yeah, pretty amazing stuff. That's one example. Another are these Alf records, these Burger King Alf records. We play these. If you're interested, all these records, except for the one I'm about to get to, have been featured on the show before. But again, it's a cardboard with a thin layer of plastic. These use a modern plastic, whereas this is truly different. So Durium is interesting stuff. Now, Durium, again, not designed to last forever, has a couple interesting properties in its old age. It does become brittle, it does chip, but you'll notice that this whole record is curved. It's kind of like potato chip shaped right now. And that is because over time, this material shrinks. And as it shrinks, it has a tendency to pull the substrate material up with it. Now, what's interesting to me is that it's doing it in one direction. So I don't know if there's a fibrous nature of this. I wouldn't think so, because it starts its life off as a liquid that's heat and pressed until it is, a firm, semi-permanent material, and then it's applied to a material like paper. So why is it curling in one direction and not the other? I do not know. So to play these, it is a 78 RPM record, and you need, a wide groove stylus. This is 1931, 32-ish, so we're not doing any micro groove at this point. Hard to tell by looking at it, although I actually have gotten to the point, I don't know if you guys have, but look at the modulation down here. I can pretty much look at that modulation and tell you that is a, either a 2.5 or a 3 mil groove width, which is amazing. I know that I can, maybe I'm just thinking I can see it, but I'm pretty sure I can tell the difference by looking at that versus, a micro groove. But let's give this a listen. Now, besides hit of the week, which the Depression, hit those guys hard, and pretty soon they were in receivership and then they were gone. But the technology made appearances in advertising materials as well. And this is what's really cool. I picked this up this week. By the way, sometimes on the back they would put advertisements, or they would put sometimes a picture of the artist. Although the majority of these are just blank, but they're all one-sided. I think they started near the end of the run of this technology. They started fitting a couple of songs on, but the company was already doomed at that point. But they were able to make use of it for advertising, which is really, really neat. So this one's cool. It doesn't have any curling to it either. And when I saw it initially on the shelf, I paid, what did I pay? $15 for this, $11, something like that. When I first saw this on the shelf, it didn't occur to me that this was a Durium record. I thought, it's a weird little thing. It just says advanced information. Well, the autofocus today. The Great American Value for 1932. And on the back, see, this is the back. And again, like I said, some of them had advertising, and there's some advertising. Be sure to play this record today. 1932. What is it? I don't see any brand information on there. Advanced information, the Great American Value for 1932. That date lines up with what we know about Durium records. So let's give that a listen. Now, before we get to that, and I do know what's on there, I did research, and this particular advertiser was the most common one. So if you find non-hit of the week Durium records, they will probably be this advertiser, which we'll check out here in a minute. And there's 10-inch versions of this as well. There's square versions and a lot of these little round ones. You want to find something interesting, they're out there. On eBay, you can buy these things for like $3, $4, $5, a collection of them for $25, $30. Again, from a dollar standpoint, not super valuable, but from a history standpoint, fascinating. So we're going to go ahead and listen to this record. And depending on what YouTube thinks of the copyright content, we'll either show you a sample or we will play the entire thing, which at 78 RPM, that's probably no more than 3 minutes. So let's get on with it. Now, because of the curling, some people say you should somehow, I tried putting a cup on here once before. I just, it doesn't do much. So we're just going to go with it, guys. This is not a high fidelity record. This is just lo-fi, historic goodness. And in the event that I cannot play this entire thing due to copyright, I will, one way or another, have this also over on my TikTok if you want to join us over there. Same thing with the advertising records. So it's going to be a bumpy, wavy ride, guys, but let's get on with it and see what we got. Okay, that got a little bumpy there. Yeah, all right. So we're gonna have to, that cracks me up. Okay, so I am going to have to try and flatten it out a little bit. I'm gonna put like a cup or something over it. Now I've tried using my record weight before, but it's a little bit too small. This one's got a little bit wider spread, and we're gonna have issues when we get to the run out, but we're going to try to get more of this record. I'm going to start it right about there because we did hear some of it, but here we go. It's too bumpy. And worrying too from now on. I'll be kind of easy to find with you on my mind. From now on, I thought we'd play a while, forget and say goodbye. But the memories of your smile just makes me want to cry. I'll be blue just thinking of you and loving you too from now on. right, we got there. We got there. That is phenomenal. The sound quality on that, that's a 90-year-old flexi disc, essentially, on a piece of paper that was never designed to last, through the week. They were disposable. And here we are playing it back, and that sounded phenomenal. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. Okay, and for the grand finale, we're going to find out once and for all what in the heck is on this. They were often mailed out. You can see the remnants of a mailing label there. This is truly the predecessor to a flexi disc of the 80s. This is an advertising piece. I don't think I'm going to need anything to stabilize that. It feels like it's gripping it pretty good. Again, 78 RPM. Let's go ahead and place our stylus right there and find out what is on this little record. Okay, so it was slipping a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put this guy on here. This is like an aluminum 45 adapter. And it does have a little curl to it. It does have a little curl, but hopefully we can get it to work here. Is that too low now? Yeah, I think that, look at that. All right, I'm going to have to put something else under it. It's sitting down in this little, that was probably another major problem. It's down in this little inset, kind of recessed area. So we're going to put a different record on as a sort of a base, and then we'll put this on top of that. Okay, so I'm going to put this show and tell picture sound program disc up there. That'll act as a nice platter mat. Put this guy on top, and there's not much to hold it on there. This guy right here, the spindle, is a lot shorter than on, contemporary, more modern record players. But All right, we should be able to finally give this a listen. I hope so, because I'm excited to hear what it's got to say.
In a few days, the Chevrolet...
All right, here we go.
In a few days, the Chevrolet Motor Company will announce a great new car. We believe it is unquestionably the finest motor car this company has ever designed or built. Chevrolet's success has been due largely to the loyalty of its owners. Therefore, we are giving you this advance information so that you can arrange to be one of the first to experience the thrills of driving this new car. And when we say thrills, we mean just that. You will get the thrill of a smooth 60 horsepower six-cylinder engine with a speed of 65 to 70 miles per hour. The thrill of driving the first and only low-priced car with both simplified freewheeling and the silent shift Synchromesh transmission. You will get the thrill of ultra-modern styling in smart new bodies by Fisher. And finally, the thrill of Chevrolet's greater comfort, durability, and economy at prices among the lowest at which motor cars are sold. So take advantage of this advance information to Chevrolet owners. And whether or not you intend to buy, arrange to drive this new car yourself and learn firsthand why Chevrolet is truly the great American value for 1932.
All right, and we're just going to loop right there. Interesting, bodies by Fisher. Now, my parents had an Oldsmobile, and it was an late 80s Oldsmobile Delta 88. And if I remember right, it said something about the body was in a partnership with Fisher. So again, there we go, guys. Durium records, they're attainable. I actually found this in person at an antique store, and I was like, that's a lot. That's kind of a lot of money, $15 to pay for something like this. And it's not super valuable. It might not even have been worth that from a dollar standpoint, but from a historic standpoint, you can't beat this stuff. This is just phenomenal stuff. So anyway, I hope you're as impressed as I am and as entertained. If so, give me a thumbs up, guys. But thanks for watching. Okay, guys, and that is going to do it. If you wouldn't mind, give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Tell your friends. Think about joining the Vinyl Nation. I almost forgot what it was called. We do exclusive shows on Fridays, exclusive chats, all kinds of cool stuff. And you're invited to join in that fun. And join us over on TikTok, where we upload records and have lots of fun over there as well. Lots of fun stuff. Anyway, that's going to do it for today, guys. Again, happy Halloween. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next time.